Hello and welcome to the Green Business Podcast where we meet exciting climate entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Bharti. With me today are Dr. Umesh and Dr. Shanmuga. They are co-founders of Thiran Energy Flow, which is making flow batteries. Now, flow batteries are typically used for long duration storage. They have been around as long as lithium-ion batteries, but haven't seen as much commercial success yet. But our guests obviously have a brighter view of the future, and we are going to find out why. So, welcome, Dr. Shanmuga and Umesh. Excited for our conversation today.
Thank you, Vardi. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the name. I like the name. It sounds exotic. Thiran, and it rhymes so well. Why don't you guys tell us how you name the company and also tell us how you met each other?
Yeah, okay. So, hi, hello, Bharati. It's a pleasure joining you here. So, I'm Dr. Shanmugh Kumar and alongside Dr. Umesh. And we were co-founders of Thiran Green Energy Flow. Our name reflects our value. So, Thiran means quality, Thiran means power. So, ultimately, we want to give a quality power using a green energy. So that's the reason we come up with the name of Thiran Green Energy Flow. So Umesh and I know each other since 2011 because we joined our master's program at IIIT Kanchipuram. So while I continued my PhD in IIIT, Umesh pursued his PhD in IIT Madras. So our idea of our company took shape during the COVID-19, especially the peak lockdown, where we got enough time to discuss and brainstorm, explore more about things. So ourselves we discussed, and then we had a discussion with our professor, Dr. Raja. He's a dynamic product design faculty. So where he introduced the field of flow batteries. So he introduced the flow battery. So we inspired by its potential in the future. So I started to explore more about the market and its future aspects. So let's dig deeper into technical aspect. Is it possible for us to solve in India? Mm-hmm. So we just explored it. At the time, we just come to a conclusion, yes, we can able to do it. So we pitched this idea of developing a flow battery in India. We pitched this to our incubation center called Made It Innovation Foundation. It's our IIIT D&M incubation center. It's a technological business incubator. So after pitching, we were lucky enough to get 10 lakh DST Prayas grant. So that was our first money, which boosted us to get into the product design and to develop a battery. So October 2, 2020, that's the day of first lockdown release. Okay, we just took our car, we came to Made It, and then we started developing our flow battery from the day itself. So we just put our full time on the product development. So lucky enough, we burned all this 10 lakh by make sure that we proved, yes, flow battery can be developed in our facility. So by pitching this, we took forward, we got another 25 lakh as a seed fund to proceed further. We got that too. We were lucky enough to get a potential team member, Dr. Narendra. He's basically a chemical engineer from IIT Guwahati. So he joined us in 2023. He became a CTO because he knows more than the battery development than the founder of myself. So he became a CTO. So after he joined the team, we started standardizing the process. So before, we were trying here, there, and there. The moment he joined, we just started standardizing the overall development process, and then he accelerated the overall development itself. So in 2023, we pitched the progress to a social alpha. We secured 1 crore fund from the social alpha, which helped us to take forward. So, but still we were exploring about can we add more team members into our team. So we grown with one more team member, Dr. Kalish. He's basically a proper electrochemist from SICRI. SICRI is one of the dedicated Center for Electrochemical Research Institute. So we put him into the team. He helped us to fine tune the electrochemical process. And we got one more team member, Mr. Vaishak. He's basically a mechanical engineer who helped us to build the stacks and so on. So now we are a team of 5. We are dedicated team of 5 members working towards a carbon-free future by providing a clean energy solution through the commercialization of sulfur-ion flow batteries. So that's our overall journey since 2020 to till today.
Okay, good. So let me go to Umesh because he is the one who does the technical part of it. So Umesh, we'll start with the basics. What is a flow battery, and then how is it different from lithium-ion battery?
Okay. So flow battery, the electrolyte is in liquid form. That is the major difference from the other battery. What happens is that you need to pump the electrolyte to the cell section during the charging and discharging. That is what happens. So compared to other batteries where the electrolytes will be in solid state, here it will be in liquid state. That is the major difference from the other batteries to flow batteries. So where this flow battery is relevant is that where the size or weight doesn't matter, but then the duration of the storage is more relevant. Those places it makes more sense to have a flow battery. So about the flow battery, it is there since, as you told, it's there since since the time of solid state batteries itself. But then it didn't find the market relevant. But current stages where the amount of renewables that in the grid had increased, right? Like when it crossed to the stage of 60% or more than that, the need for longer duration storage had become more relevant. That is the period where the flow battery companies had started coming up worldwide, like I would say around 20-25 years back. So, and as we progress now, where we want to produce all our energy from renewables, there the flow battery becomes even more predominant, and the realization of the need for the flow battery had been very apparent.
Okay, so flow battery electrolyte is in a liquid form as against lithium ion battery where it is solid. And what else is different between the two?
Okay, so when you take a solid state battery, any solid electrolyte battery, lithium ion or sodium ion, what happens is that the reactor where the reaction happens, electrical reaction converting into electrochemical reaction, in the same place the energy is stored. So you have only so much of space in that you can only store a little amount of energy, say 1 hour to 2 hours. Okay, that is the disadvantage. But when you have a liquid electrolyte, the reaction space is different, the storage space is different. So what happens is that if you want to increase the storage hours, you simply increase the storage space and pour more electrolyte. So because this ability to scale the storage duration separately and the power of the battery separately is called power energy decoupling. Only electrochemical battery which has this advantage is flow battery. That is the major difference. Apart from that, if you take any solid state battery, the fire hazards, that is being a major concern at the larger scale. In flow battery, even you try to burn the battery, it is not going to burn. Maybe it will perform better, I would say. That is the one more added advantage or important concern that is there.
Okay, so again, so solid state battery, the electrolyte is solid and reaction is happening in the same chamber where the cell is. Therefore, the capacity to store is limited. For your batteries, there are two sections. One is where electrolyte is stored, and one is where cell stack is there. So you can store more, and therefore you can have a longer duration storage. Right? Is that correct?
Exactly. I'll share my screen also and show
sure.
a simple model that is there. Okay. So this is the basic model that we developed. So I wanted to show our model itself. This is a very small scale setup in a laboratory scale of 1 watt, right? So this particular section is the cell section, and these are the two tanks that we were talking about. So here is the pump. Whenever charging or discharging necessary, the pump will circulate the liquid to this cell section, and charging and discharging will happen.
Where is the cell section? Where is the cell section?
This black color section where it's nut bolt kept.
Okay, this is the stack. Okay, understood.
Yes, this is a single cell. So here is the metal plate at the end of the cell section through which you can take out the power which is stored, or you can charge the battery. This is the overall construct of the battery. This is like very small scale that we are talking about, but in a larger scale, it will look very, huge and magnificent.
Okay. And so the advantage is that there is decoupling of power and how much power you can store and where the reaction happens. But what are the other advantages of this?
Okay, so because the electrolytes separated and kept, in two different tanks, where the self discharge is very low. You leave the battery charged for a period of time and come back and check. You will have almost the same energy that you have stored. Whereas in solid state batteries, it is in the same compartment, right? So interaction is always happening. So the self discharge is one of the concerns. And cycle life. In flow batteries, basically in vanadium based flow batteries particularly, the cycle life is very high. It works for even 25 years of life period. That is one of the other major advantage that we could see of.
Okay, so
I'd like to add one point over here.
Yes, sure.
So generally the other batteries, it has an end of life. Lithium battery, lead acid battery, any batteries. This battery doesn't have an end of life because it's a mechanical system. So more than a battery, we would say it's a machine. So if anything goes, like let's say some part is get repaired, we can just go like a bike or any machine, you can just repair and come back.
Oh, okay, so it is less. It will not produce waste that has to be handled later.
Exactly.
Okay. So the good part is that it doesn't produce waste and it can store for longer and it has better cycle life. But what are the challenges?
Okay, so in challenges wise, it is of a bigger size. So wherever size is a constraint, you cannot have this. It will be difficult. That is the issue. So that's why it is only suitable for stationary applications, mobile applications or electronic applications. It is not going to work out. It is going to work out only for stationary application. Even in stationary application where you don't have much of a space constraint. Because it is way lower in energy and power denser than lithium ion batteries.
Okay, how much low? Yeah, that's what I want to understand. For the same, let's say 1 megawatt or forget megawatt, 1 kilowatt hour, or shall we go to megawatt? You can take whatever size you want and talk to me about how much bigger does it have to be to give the same amount of power.
5 to 10x. I am also not very sure, like based on different scenarios it comes, but 5 to 10x.
And what have been the challenges? So, like we discussed, these batteries have been around as long as lithium ion has been around. So, what are the specific challenges and what has changed? More importantly, what has changed that makes you optimistic about the future of these batteries?
So first, I'll explain what are all the flow batteries that are there, and then what we are making. So vanadium-based flow batteries are the very basic and then most commercialized flow battery, I would say. The reason is that vanadium has 4 oxidation states: V2, V3, V4, V5. So you can use same vanadium salts on both sides, and positive and negative side. Because of this, a crossover is less because both sides same vanadium is there. The diffusion rate is very less. Because of that only it gets like around 25 years of life cycle, right?
Okay.
So this happens. But if you look at vanadium, it's a rare earth material and the salt costs are very high. You want to go for more hours of storage, you need to have more vanadium salts, more solution, right? So that adds to the system cost. So people were making low cost electrolyte substitutes for the vanadium. Like that, there are several flow chemistries that is in the work, like iron based flow battery, zinc bromine based flow battery, ferrochrome based flow battery, like that. If flow battery had to split it into 2 parts, I would say there are a lot of way you can divide flow battery into. But then there is one major way, which is hybrid flow battery and fully redox flow battery. So this vanadium-based flow battery is a fully redox flow battery where during the conversion of the chemical, during the charging and discharging, the salt remains in the salt state. It doesn't become metal or, it doesn't become solid state. It remains in the solution state itself. But in iron flow battery, at one side, the iron metal will be formed, which will be plated on the electrode.
Okay.
This makes this iron flow battery as a hybrid flow battery, where
Right.
it doesn't have the power energy decoupling. You cannot just increase the tank and then increase your energy. Same goes for the zinc bromine flow battery.
Okay.
So what happens with the iron flow battery? It solves the electrolyte cost problem, but it again brings in the scaling of energy.
Okay.
And the zinc bromine flow battery solves the lower power density of the flow batteries, because it has higher voltage. Zinc has higher voltage, but again solid formation of zinc metal will be there, so you cannot scale your energy more than 10 hours, I would say.
Right.
So people again looking for a flow battery substitute chemistry where you want to have the low cost electrolyte also, and also you want to have the fully redox system.
Right.
This is where systems like ferrochrome or sulfur ion flow battery comes. So in among these options, to have both advantages, sulfur ion flow battery is one of the most promising candidate. That's why we chose that, and we are working on that. In terms of difficulties, what are all there? Like obviously, when it comes to vanadium based flow battery, it's very natural to have a higher life cycle. But when you have two different constituents on the both sides, the diffusion is a big problem. So we need to have a proper understanding in membrane engineering, and to stop the sulfur crossover happening from one side to other side. That is one of the major technological area that we are working on currently. Apart from that, the electrokinetic, comparing the electrokinetics of vanadium to sulfur has a little lower electrokinetic. So the cell size would be bigger compared to vanadium, unless otherwise you increase your power density to a certain level. So that is another side of work that we are doing by making metal oxide coatings in our electrode. That is the two work that we are doing. Apart from that, we are working on making our own cell stack in India also.
Okay.
These are all the several problems. Sorry.
Got it. So one is that these batteries needed. So they are using one material which should release electrons and absorb electron for that process to happen, and that was only candidate was vanadium, which is very expensive. Other chemistries had problems because either there was metal getting deposited, or the two electrolytes were flowing into each other, and these kind of things. And because of all of that, and then some of them would have to be very large because the power density is low, so you need bigger and bigger tanks. So all of those issues have meant that they have not progressed. But you are saying there is hope because your chemistry is iron sulfur, which will handle some of it, right? Okay.
Yes.
And where are you in your journey now? Like you said, you have been working for now 3-4 years. So do you have a prototype, and talk to us about how you're planning to scale it?
Okay. So currently we are in the stage of proof of concept to prototype development. So what I've shown at the starting is that our 1 watt cell that we developed around 8-9 months back. So that we tested and validated. From there, we are scaling from it is of 1 watt. We are scaling ourselves from 1 watt to 1 kilowatt system. In 1 kilowatt system, the cells will be in the larger size. And also from single cell, we will develop a multi-cell stack where around 50 cells will be stacked together to get a higher voltage. So that is the stage right now we are in. Apart from that, also we are looking at how we retain the performance that we have got from the small scale systems, because when you scale from small scale to larger scale, again you lose some of your performance. Retaining this performance, again how to improve those performance even more, to make this particular product commercially viable. All those things are the current progress that are happening.
And what does it mean? Like, do you have to increase the density of that liquid, or do you have to change the cell structure? What are those challenges that you have to encounter to be able to make a bigger battery?
Increasing the power density is one thing.
Huh.
So how much power you are getting per square meter or square centimeter of cell. Increasing the energy density, how much chemical you can mix in your water, which will dictate the overall power density. Increasing the energy efficiency, how reduced voltage window you are having, while charging, how much you are losing the increasing the voltage, or while discharging, how much you are losing the voltage. By reducing that, how are you increasing your overall energy efficiency, and how are you increasing your cycle life to 10,000 or 20,000, to equivalent to vanadium, or at least to the lithium-ion batteries level. So these are all the few factors that we are working. Apart from that, general scaling also, how you are progressing from smaller cell to making your bigger cell, how you are designing and then assembling, all those problems only that we are exactly working.
And are there any such batteries deployed in India currently, Shanmuga?
Yeah, so there is a company called Electric. It's a Gurgaon-based company. But they work on vanadium-based batteries.
Right.
So there is one more company, VFlow. They are from Singapore. They also work on vanadium-based batteries. So and there are research communities in IIT Madras and IIT Delhi. So they also work on batteries in the lab scale. So we keenly focus towards how can we commercialize this battery into the market. So, but we are not picking the vanadium due to the cost and the toxicity of it. So we come up with sulfur and iron based. So because it's a highly abundant material in our country itself.
Right. And so you said that some of these batteries are currently deployed in India, like they are at commercial scale.
Yes, they are. Like with Electric, they had a deployment in Delhi, and also they are playing a key role in UAE, like in the Middle East market.
Okay, and got it. And you said your specific chemistry is iron sulfur. So is that new, or there has been, are there companies that are using this chemistry abroad, and what are the specific challenges because of this new chemistry as such? Or why do you want iron sulfur?
Yeah, okay. As of our knowledge, there is no dedicated company who works on commercializing this iron sulfur battery. But there are a lot of research groups in China, in Japan, in Europe, in US. They are working on fine-tuning the chemistry and the components. But we were focused more towards commercializing it. So we all their research papers and their articles will help us to understand better fine-tuning. So that we focusing on. So one of the main reason you asked, why we pick this iron sulfur. So iron sulfur is the one which gives low cost electrochemistry compositions and the energy power decoupling, both we achieve at this iron sulfur chemistry. That's one of the main reason why you pick this iron sulfur.
Right. And what all has to, from now, this one watt, right? Currently your cell is 1 watt and you're going to 1 kilowatt. From that 1 kilowatt to maybe a system that can be commercially deployed, that would be how much? Like 150 kilowatts, or how much would that be? Minimum system that is commercially deployable?
Okay, so one more economics if you want to understand in the flow battery. So flow battery doesn't make sense when you go for a smaller power rating. Okay, so because it's basically a it's more than a battery, it's a machine. So it need a pump, right. It need a lot of equipment to run. Right? So somewhere we should have at least 25 kilowatt above where we can the battery makes sense to it. So because internal conception of the battery itself will take somewhere around 500 watts, pumping and all this components to it. So minimum 25 kilowatt, then it's all about a scaling game.
Where do you think will be the key use cases for this battery? And because you will also be competing with vanadium and lithium, and then there'll be, because we are at least 2-3 years away from that, so there could be newer forms. You never know, right? There could be newer technologies coming in that would start doing the same thing. So what do you think will be the special use cases where this battery will be needed, and why?
Okay. So one of the special case or one of the best use case where we see is in the off-grid application. So why do we need this off-grid application? Like, let's say, for example, we had a pretty big community. They lives with only solar power. So you will get a peak solar power like morning 10 to evening 4 o'clock. It's just a 6 hours window. But if you look at the overall day, it's 24 hours. Only 25% of the time where you get the actual power. So what do you do for the remaining 75% of the time? So somewhere you should store it. So as you said, the storing can happen with either lithium or either with vanadium or with our iron sulfur battery. So again, like if you look at the vanadium, they are like maximum is they come with a 5 to 10 hour application. Maximum they can able to scale it. So we can able to scale for 20, 30 plus hour application. So off-grid, like one off-grid for defense, for mobile telecommunication towers, where there are towers which they completely runs with the DG today, okay, in the remote locations. So where there we go and fit. And as like, Umesh said, wherever the space is not a matter, where the real estate is not a matter, like big wind farms, big solar farms, and all the places we find our market.
And currently, like just to compare broadly, for a commercial scale deployment, how much more expensive is flow battery currently, and what are the things that can bring these prices down in future?
Okay, Umesh, would you like to add anything there?
Yes, this like when we compare flow batteries with lithium ion battery in commercial sense, what happens is that you want to buy a 1 kilowatt battery for 1 hour application, you buy a battery pack. It comes around, let's say 30,000 rupees right now, okay, and you install. But then you want a 1 kilowatt battery for 10 hour application. Then what you will do, you will buy 10 lithium ion batteries which will come 2.5 lakhs. Right. Same, if you buy a 10 kilowatt hour vanadium based flow battery, which of 1 kilowatt power rating, you will get lower than that cost. So for 1 to 4 hour application, lithium is best suited. Where 4 to 10 or 20 hour application, vanadium rules. But where we come into picture is that since our electrolyte cost is much more cheaper, like 5 to 8 times cheaper than the vanadium electrolyte cost, we make our economic sense where the storage duration is more than 15 hours, scenarios like that. Where that scenario happens is that, as he told, it comes in the off-grid application, where not only microgrid applications, off-grid or energy decentralization, I would say. So in these places, we are not only dealing with the intermittency of the renewables, we are dealing with the seasonal nature of the renewable itself. So, sun shines better in summer. So we use our energy only in summer or what? No, right? We'll use in the winter also very much. So for that and all, you need to store for the whole season, which requires, even we are talking about the scale of hundreds of hours of storage. So those places, it makes much more sense. But this is a very niche area.
Yeah. And it won't matter. You could make as big tanks as you want. It has to be in areas where size just doesn't matter. You could make tanks large enough for storing for like 100 hours or 200 hours.
Yeah. In fact, me and Umesh had a discussion of one time, like, instead of putting a battery in a container, so can we have a building like an infrastructure itself for a battery?
Yeah. Okay, lovely. And lastly, what are the plans looking like? Like, what are you planning to do in next 1 year from now?
So after this development of 1 kilowatt, we want to make our 5 kilowatt MVP system. So most of the flow battery companies that are there, commercial also, they have like around 5 to 20 kilowatt hour as the smallest scale system they have. So we want to make our 5 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt system standardized and improve its performance so that we can release it as a MVP as soon as possible. We are planning this in next 18 to 24 months period. So by that time we'll be making few of our pilot plants and then installing here and there. Okay. That is
Yeah. So then it doesn't look that much long term, huh? Like in next 2 years, there could be a product, and that product could be deployed somewhere, right?
Yes. But innovation in the battery is not going to stop, because like it's a multi-physics environment where, like, electrochemistry, electrical, mechanical, all this part comes into it. So each and every dimension should be optimized. So we are looking at expanding our team. Okay, we are looking at, like, more experts on each and every dimensional problems. So we just want to keep progress in terms of innovation. So maybe market is a step number one, but we are like long steps to.
Okay, and all this will happen in your current environment, like this kind of battery can be made where you are right now in the lab, or do you need to move out and set up a factory, etc. also?
At this 1 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, it can happen here. But when you go for the larger scale into the market, yeah, definitely we need an assembly line and the overall production line itself.
Okay, lovely. I think, yeah, thank you so much, and it has been lovely talking to you, and all the best.
Thank you, Bharti. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you.